While exploring the cave, a group of students got lost and spent several hours searching for a way out. When they did get out, they realized that thousands of years had passed outside and people had already left the Earth. Professor of Archaeology, Hopper, discovers an old minivan in the mountains. Inside the vehicle, he finds photographs, drawings, and children's toys. Soon, he notices an alluring cave nearby. Curious, he hurries over to it and peers inside, but his dog barks and refuses to come any closer. Inside the cave, he notices a man who is unresponsive to his words, and sits there quietly. Freaked out, Professor Hopper runs away. He hasn't realized how dangerous the man is, and how this will alter his life. Professor Hopper drives back to the city in a hurry and calls his student assistant on the way to inform her about the discovered car, which had no one in it. He also asks her to prepare a backpack for him. With his fear subsided, Hopper wishes to return to the cave and resume his search. On arriving home, his student interns, Jackie and Taylor, are waiting for him with a backpack. They are intrigued by the discovered car and ask to join him on the hike. However, Hopper declines their offer. He is confident that he doesn't require any assistance and plans to search for the car's owners alone.
You really think you're gonna find him?
Maybe, but if I really get lucky, I might just find what they weren't looking for.
The next morning, Hopper returns to the mountains. There are several entrances to the cave, and he ties ropes near each one to make it easier to escape if necessary. Then he cautiously approaches the main entrance, but his loyal dog refuses to go with him. Inside the cave, the motionless cowboy with a pistol and a kerosene lamp in his hands is still there. Hopper sets out on his journey, but he quickly encounters an invisible barrier. The air in the cave is very humid and seems to vibrate.
Wall.
Hopper is a little scared by it, but he takes a step into the unknown. 2 days go by, and Jackie and Taylor grow worried that the professor still hasn't returned or contacted them. They decide to go help him, but to get into the mountains, they need an SUV. The only one available belongs to Kara, Taylor's friend, who has been in love with him for a long time. Jackie convinces Taylor to call Kara, as they don't have time to search for another mode of transportation. Kara readily agrees to drive her beloved into the mountains. Kara's younger sister, Vivs, joins them. She is working on a school project on archaeology, and exploring the mysterious cave is just what she needs. She brings her camera with her and starts recording the entire journey. The sisters pick up Taylor and Jackie, and the group sets off. Taylor tells them that Professor Hopper is searching for something in the cave. 50 years ago, a group of hippies went missing in these mountains. They were searching for the mythical fountain of youth in one of the caves, but vanished without a trace. Hopper has spent his entire life dreaming of finding them, and now he's finally found a lead. As the adventure unfolds, Vivs becomes more enamored with it and decides to bring along her classmate, Ferb, who is helping her with the project. Although he's not particularly interested in archaeology, Ferb is drawn to the alluring Jackie.
And one for you, my love.
Soon the lively group reaches an old van. They have brought many cameras and are capturing every moment of their journey. Taylor finds a photo of the missing hippies inside the van. On the back of the photo, it is written that they are the Hopper family. This means that Professor Hopper was not just searching for lost hippies, but also for his own parents. But why would they abandon their son and venture into a dangerous cave? While they are exploring the van, Ferb accidentally trips over an old rope. It leads to the cave, where it seems the hippies went. They follow the rope deeper into the cave, only to find a steep cliff.
So we should probably do a second line on the descent to play it safe.
Ferb, equipped with a walkie-talkie, stays above while the rest, wearing mountaineering gear, approach the edge of the ravine inside the cave. Jackie and Vivs descend first, followed by Taylor and Kara. Halfway down, Kara feels a dense fog. It's the same invisible boundary that the professor had crossed. As soon as Hopper passed through the wall, the cowboy immediately moved forward. Hopper looked at him in surprise. Suddenly, he noticed a strange flicker outside the cave. It was like a flashing spotlight. Screams echoed from deep inside the cave. Terrified, Hopper rushes to the exit. Outside, deep night has fallen, although the professor had entered the cave early in the morning and had only stayed there for a couple of minutes. Hopper man can't find his dog and hurries to his car, but his SUV is covered in branches. The documents have faded, as if they had been left in the sun for years. The car won't start. Hopper explores the area and comes across Kara's car, also overgrown with bushes, as if it had been there for years. Jackie's backpack is in the trunk. Hopper realizes that the students came to rescue him and followed him into the cave. But now, they need rescuing themselves. Professor Hopper goes back into the cave and scatters neon sticks along the way. One of them hangs in the dense fog. Meanwhile, the friends reach the bottom of the ravine. Horrible sounds come from deep within the cave. The girls are petrified and eager to escape the cave, but Taylor insists they keep searching for Professor Hopper. However, no one listens, and Jackie starts to climb up a rope. Suddenly, the rope snaps, causing Jackie to fall onto the rocks and hit Taylor's hand in the process. Jackie injures her leg and Taylor hurts his hand. They all suspect that Ferb at the top deliberately cut the rope as a prank. They attempt to radio Ferb, but there's no response. They hear strange noises echoing through the cave, as if someone with a radio is moving around. The person intercepts Taylor's signal and pleads for help in a muffled voice, identifying himself as Ferb. However, the voice sounds nothing like him. They are terrified and unable to escape, so they venture further into the tunnel, hoping to find another way out. Finally, they discover one, but it requires climbing up a steep cliff. They notice a strange, flickering light outside, which only adds to their unease. Kara clambers onto a ledge and spots a dangling rope. When she peers down, she sees something horrific, causing her to go into hysterics. Taylor investigates the ledge and sees what Kara has found, which also leaves him in a state of shock.
Enough with the suspense, guys. What is it?
Vivs ran towards a stone and came across poor Ferb, whose fate was already sealed. It appeared that the young boy had attempted to descend into a cave, but someone had cut the rope. As a result, he fell and broke his neck. Ferb's camera had been recording all this time. They watched the footage to uncover what happened to the boy. While waiting for his friends, Ferb spent time reading a book from the hippie van, which told the story of Spanish conquistadors searching for a cave containing a pond with healing water. The last expedition vanished without a trace. Ferb kept recording, and as night fell, his friends had not returned. He locked himself in the van and read Professor Hopper's diary. It turned out that the professor's sister was very ill, so their parents, along with her, had set out to find the healing pond in the cave. Morning came, and Ferb realized that no one knew where he was. Therefore, no one would come to his aid. More days passed, and Ferb ran out of water and food. He decided to descend into the cave in search of his friends. During the descent, the rope snapped, and he fell from a great height. This was how he ended up in his current predicament. After watching the recording, they were all horrified. How could Ferb have survived outside for several days when only 15 minutes had passed inside the cave? Everyone was on edge, shouting at each other. In despair, Jackie exclaimed that only Kara could make it out, as she had all her limbs and the strength to climb up the cliff. A frightened Kara blamed Taylor for everything.
You went looking for someone who went missing, while he was looking for someone else that went missing. What did you think would happen?
He admits to his mistakes and realizes that his actions were foolish, yet this realization does not alleviate his distress. He urges Kara to quickly climb to safety and seek help. Before parting ways, Viv attaches a camera to Kara's clothing, allowing her to record her surroundings. Meanwhile, Taylor provides her with a GPS beacon to call for assistance if necessary. As he gazes at the flickering light above, he speculates that it could be the sun flashing. Perhaps, a single second in the cave equates to a day on the surface, which explains why Ferb experienced multiple days in just a few cave seconds. Despite Kara mocking this idea, she scales the cliff like a seasoned climber. Upon reaching the cave exit, she senses a change in air density. Outside, the landscape has completely transformed, with all the vegetation dried up, and the air barely breathable. Despite her efforts to catch a signal, Kara fails to do so, and suddenly witnesses a terrifying sandstorm on the horizon. In the sky, she spots a triangular-shaped object that sends chills down her spine. Frightened, Kara quickly retreats back into the cave. Upon sharing her ordeal with her friends, Kara is met with skepticism as her absence outside was only a few seconds in cave time, which could not have possibly allowed her to witness so much. However, she insists that she spent at least half an hour outside. She then shows the video she recorded, which proves her point. In response, Taylor presents his own video recorded inside the cave, revealing that time inside and outside the cave moves at different speeds. Moreover, the flashes of light are indeed sunrises and sunsets.
So every time that happens, that's a day?
If that's the case, then they have been in the cave for several earthly years already, and their climbing ropes were not cut by anyone. They simply wore out from old age. Kara cries and regrets that she brought the very young Vivs into the ill-fated cave, but her younger sister hugs and comforts her. For Vivs, the most important thing is that they are together, but they still need to get out. Kara will have to climb up again and drop the rope found in the cave to her friends. While she rests before the new ascent, Taylor decides to review Ferb video one more time. When the boy fell to the bottom of the cave, he was still alive. Ferb regained consciousness and answered Taylor's call for help. It was him who spoke to Taylor and begged him to save him. But soon, an unknown person approached the helpless boy. Making strange sounds, he finished poor Ferb off. It's excruciatingly painful for the friends to watch. It turns out the cave is even more dangerous than they thought. Kara immediately climbs up. Taylor monitors the tunnel through which the villain may come running. And Vivs and Jackie watch Ferb's video footage again. Suddenly, they make the most horrifying discovery.
It's not just the sun. It's the seasons.
On the video, it's clear how the sun constantly changes its trajectory. One flash of light at the top is not a day, it's a year. And since the friends spent only a few hours in the cave, thousands of years have passed on the surface. Panic sets in for everyone. Suddenly, a metal tube pierces through a crack in the cave floor and turns into a ladder. The friends assume that people from the future are trying to save them. Kara jumps onto the ladder and climbs up to the exit, but then a giant in a spacesuit starts descending the ladder. Kara gets scared and climbs down. The giant also descends and inspects the frightened friends. Suddenly, a caveman runs up from the depths of the cave. He attacks the creature in the spacesuit from behind, hitting it and trying to remove its helmet. Fighting in a spacesuit is not easy, but the alien manages to throw off the attacker. The caveman doesn't give up and now attacks from the front, but the giant pulls out a special collar and quickly subdues the primitive man, chaining him to the ground. Now the enemy lies quietly and only groans weakly. The teenagers are shocked by what they saw. They quickly run away through the tunnel to hide from the hostile alien. The alien gathers its ladder and pursues them. In the depths of the cave, the friends find Hopper's motionless parents. They have been stuck here for a long time but still remain young, as time in the cave passes very slowly. In another corner, cavemen sit around a cowboy with his pistol. The cavemen are clearly aggressive towards the strangers, so the girls run further down the tunnel, while Taylor stays behind to hold off the cavemen. They take on a fighting stance and prepare to attack. Their leader strikes the ground, and two of the cavemen run towards Taylor. He grabs a stone and strikes first. He is ready to fight to the end, but they attack Taylor from all sides, not giving him a chance to rest. One of the attackers grabs Taylor and hits his head against a rock. The pain makes Taylor's legs buckle. The crazed opponent finishes him off with a blow to the head, taking his life. After that, the cavemen go in pursuit of the girls. The girls hide behind rocks, and the cavemen run right past them. Kara returns to Taylor. She mourns the loss of her friend. Near them, a giant in a spacesuit appears. He approaches the lake inside the cave and fills a flask with water. The alien is about to leave, but he can't leave Kara and Taylor in such a situation. He tries to pull Taylor away, but Kara doesn't trust the giant and tries to fight him off. However, the alien is much stronger. He drags Taylor into the lake, and Kara follows, watching with disbelief. Suddenly, a caveman with a torch in his hand returns to the lake. He tries to attack the strangers with fire, but the giant knocks him aside with a powerful blow and protects the teenagers. Taylor regains consciousness. Kara is incredibly happy and surprised. It turns out that the alien saved him. Soon, more cavemen come running out. They surround the alien and strike accurate blows. They knock the giant down. One of the cavemen grabs him from behind and removes his protective helmet. The alien's head takes a blow. He finds it very difficult to breathe, but he continues to fight. Losing strength, the alien takes out one of the cavemen, but the other one hits him on the head with his helmet and punches him. The giant can hardly move and is about to be defeated, but Kara rushes to his aid and hands him a second restraining collar. The giant then disarms the remaining savage and collapses to the ground. His condition deteriorates significantly. The alien shows the kids holographic watches on his wrist, and they understand.
Oh no. He's out of time.
Taylor felt grateful to the giant for healing his broken arm after swimming in the lake. His friends huddled around the alien, and with his last ounce of strength, he scanned their faces and projected holographic news about them. The news was surely ancient, dating back thousands of years. The announcer reported on the disappearance of teenagers in the mountains, who were never found. Several millennia had passed since then, and humans had to abandon Earth as it became uninhabitable. They built a massive triangular spaceship to fly to Mars. This was the very ship that Kara saw when she emerged to the surface. That was the end of the news, and life in the giant slowly dwindled away. All of these incredible changes on Earth had occurred while the kids were sitting in the cave. Humans had become giants and now spoke a different language. The friends couldn't believe that their loved ones were gone, but they still wanted to make their way to the surface. Suddenly, they spotted Hopper's backpack nearby. He had clearly been there and had gone further. Taylor wanted to find his mentor because only he would know what to do. Armed with his cowboy pistol, he marched deeper into the cave, where wounded savages lay. A little cave girl was pouring water from the magic lake over them, and they slowly regained consciousness. Taylor pressed on and finally found Hopper, who was gravely injured and pointing toward a glowing wall. Beyond this barrier, time slowed down even more than in other parts of the cave. Hopper's little sister had fled there from a savage. In addition, a terrible battle was taking place between conquistadors and Native Americans, but it was so slow that the movements of the participants were imperceptible. These were the very conquistadors who set out to find the magic fountain and never returned. Hopper has figured out that the entire cave is a system created to protect the fountain. Each new layer is slower than the previous one. Taylor plans to cross yet another barrier, but Hopper forbids him from doing so because there will be no turning back. In a last-ditch effort, Taylor tries to lead the professor to the healing lake. However, Hopper won't make it there, as his time is up. Taylor leaves the professor with a gun and rushes to meet the girls, who are waiting for him at the lake. Meanwhile, Hopper prepares to defend himself against the recovering savages. Jackie has already healed her leg. Now, they plunge into the lake, hoping to revive Ferb. Vives pours kerosene from the cowboy lamp all over the floor to keep the savages from approaching. Suddenly, gunshots echo from deep inside the cave. The cavemen have woken up and are attacking Hopper, who is fighting back. They quickly light the kerosene, grab the giant folding ladder, and run towards the cave exit. The flames do not deter the cavemen. They jump over the fire and continue to chase after them. Upon reaching the exit, the friends discover that the light above is no longer flickering. Something has changed up there. However, there is no time to think about it, as the cavemen are closing in. They activate the ladder and climb up. Kara is the first to climb. At the top, the ladder stops at the water's surface, which is very strange. But down below, things are even worse because the savages are carrying torches.
Kara, be careful!
The girl screams and struggles to break free from the clawed paw that's pulling her up. Taylor tries to save her, but the savages below press the button on the staircase. Suddenly, it folds, and the friends plummet into the depths, straight onto the torches. Carla is dragged underwater by the clawed paws, and an oxygen mask is placed on her face. She watches as her friends freeze in time and gets carried up the pipe. Since the teens are falling slowly by normal time standards, rescuers manage to wrap them in ropes. They hang in midair, and Carla emerges from the water. She pulls her friends back into the water. High-tech ropes then penetrate the cave's depths to save the others. Ferb regains consciousness underwater in the pool. He surfaces and finds himself on a spaceship, with Earth visible through the window. He calls out to his friends, but instead, Hopper emerges from his pool, looking surprised. The guys don't understand what's going on. Young parents of Hopper's neighbor then surface from a nearby pool, and his little sister runs to them. They are all saved. Carla, Jackie, and Taylor approach the pools and explain that much has changed in the world, but they are welcomed on the spaceship with joy. Now, the group of friends, along with other Earthlings, are flying to Mars. Would you like to time travel by going into a cave? Let's discuss it in the comments. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any new videos. See you soon.